Hey guys, it's Stephanie Janicek. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna be going back to my usual thing. I'm calling out the Star Wars story group, Kathleen Kennedy, and a few other people. The Fembot Furies, as they like to call them. So be ready to have some fun. Up first is Kathleen Kennedy. When yours truly was a girl, growing up, doing singing lessons, and wanting to get into acting and wanting to break into Hollywood, as well as music. My ultimate goal was to actually maybe someday get to do a movie like Star Wars with George Lucas. And Kathleen Kennedy basically lived that part of my dream. And she has destroyed everything that made me love Star Wars. To me, when you show up wearing the Force is Feminine t-shirts with this stupid, pompous, idiotic look on your face with these bimbos, I can't even. She worked with George Lucas. There she is with George and her husband, Frank Marshall. Here she is with her arms in a defensive position with Liam Neeson on the set of Schindler's List. And her whole stance is defensive, which tells me manly men, virile men, alpha males intimidate her. And it says a lot about how she's handled her job at Lucasfilm, which is bad. You've got to be able to run with the big dogs. If you can't, then find a new job. You'd think someone that learned under the tutelage with Steven Spielberg would figure this all out, and yet she has not. She can't get it. Kathleen Kennedy's problem is, frankly, she feels she has to be a woman first, and no. She has to do her job. She's a chief executive. Fucking do your job. And she's so politically imbued with feminism that she can't get decent work out of her people. And in fact, her politics drive the story group. It drives Lucasfilm, and really that's not what drove Lucasfilm before. She's gone way away from what George Lucas saw for Star Wars, driving him out. I don't know if it was Disney per se as much as her. She promised him she would protect Star Wars, and she lied to him. She's a feminazi hag, and she's a real big reason for Star Wars issues and the problem. Think about the directors that she's fired, the directors that basically say they wouldn't work for them. Ridley Scott said he's too dangerous. I'm sure she wouldn't want Spielberg to because she worked for him. But I'm sorry, did she learn anything from him? How to run a studio, how to get a coherent story out there. She was a producer on Schindler's List, for crying out loud. And so many other great movies that he did. I think E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, didn't she learn anything from him? I never felt insulted watching a movie that Steven Spielberg directed and produced. Everything so far that Kathleen Kennedy, except for Rogue One, which was more Star Wars, everything that Kathleen Kennedy has touched is feminazi shit. She needs to go. Kathleen, go away. Well, since we got Ms. Kennedy done, let's talk about Claudia Gray. She is a writer that lives in New Orleans in a purple house, apparently. You look at her picture, I'm pretty sure she's a lesbian or something like that. I'm not sure. Not my business, don't really care. She has no business writing Star Wars. And anybody who has even read a synopsis of her shitty novels knows that. She has no clue about male-female relationships at all. She's basically slutified Leia, but we'll get into it, so get ready. Claudia Gray, Fembot 2. So this is Claudia Gray, and you can see that she's not your average chica. That's not actually her real name. Her real name is Amy Vincent. That's her nom de plume. She's written 3 Star Wars novels. The ones that piss me off, and because they're so poorly written, are Bloodline, which is misandrous bullshit, shits all over Han, and Princess Valderon, which basically solidifies Leia and introduces the lesbian character of Amelin Haldo, which then, of course, we all have to go look at Leia and going, what the fuck? Here's the deal. And wonder what the novelist thought about Leia as a young teenager. The thing that bothers me about this whole thing is Claudia Gray is a young adult novelist. She's not a novelist like Timothy Zahn and other people that wrote Star Wars stuff. So you wonder what was going on when they hired her, and then you think, oh, Twilight. So they're trying to get that group of fans, and the rest of Star Wars fans are like, well, fuck you. Let me explain something to Claudia Gray. George Lucas, you might not like him because he's a white man, but he had Leia figured out. He had what he wanted to do, and he created a glorious feminist figure. Leia was a tough girl. She was a girl when we meet her. She was a girl all the way up to about 3/4 of the way through The Empire Strikes Back. And, Han Solo, biggest alpha male on the planet. Claudia Gray couldn't handle that. Look at this picture. Look how he's looking at her. And we're supposed to believe that after everything they went through to be together, Cloud City, this horrible moment in the Carmen freezing chamber, that, they give up on each other. Let me explain something about Han Solo. Going through carbonite, I think, would probably leave you with PTSD and probably make you want to stay with the person who saved you. Leia, see her? There she is right there. This is a relationship that means something to him because she's the only person on the planet, in the galaxy, that ever gave a shit. Because you have to understand, Han Solo, as a child, was a throwaway kid. He was an orphan. And the idea that he would give up on his wife, his son, wouldn't fight for his son, go find him, is ridiculous, and therefore it's hard for me to believe that what we got in everything that was written is supposed to be canon. It's bullshit. This guy was so loyal and there for his friends, would do anything for Leia. You get an Elrond facepalm. Fuck you, Claudia Gray. Fembot 2. And Fembot 3, Ryan Johnson. If anybody follow him on Twitter, the man has an ego he has not earned. Speaking of someone who's hung out with fighter pilots, Navy SEALs, and other guys who basically are arrogant and somewhat conceited people that have actually earned the right to be that way, I find it hilarious considering his movie might have made $1 billion, but if you add marketing and the lack of merchandise sales, he hasn't done shit. And he's on Twitter dissing the fans. Let's get into it. Fembot 3, Ryan Johnson. Yes. So, Ryan Johnson. There he is, my guy. I don't even know what to say about this guy, but he is not a real man. He's not talented. He is Kathleen Kennedy's bitch. This is the guy that brought Claudia Gray's, Amy Vincent's, Admiral Gender Studies into a movie, and I still can't fucking figure out what her point was. Trashed Leia, ruined her. Basically, this was supposed to be a scene in the movie. There's Rey and Leia. That wasn't even in there. I mean, he basically is a Tide Pod addict, trashed and marginalized a Latino character because he's a man. There's Poe. Turned Finn into a token black guy. Basically, I don't even know what Rose's point was, but to be the token Asian girl. You know, guys, this asshole sold Star Wars out for girl power feminist shit. And let me tell you something. This is disgusting misandry, which misandry means women who hate men. And yes, there are men that are capable of being misandrist. Rian Johnson is one of them. Star Wars is given to people like this pig and this pig, Harpy. I don't even know what the hell this is. I mean, whatever. As seen at the Women's March today, yeah, Star Wars is hers now. And of course, this escaped mental patient who's supposed to be a college professor. Anyway, yeah, it's bullshit. The excrement. Yeah, the Millennial Falcon. But hey, you know what? Karma's gonna get you fuckers. I mean, look at the Chinese box office. Look at the fact you can't sell toys, that no one likes any of these characters. I mean, you could have made Rey a really interesting character if you'd have connected to somebody. If you'd have given her a background. If you'd have made her part of Star Wars. But, Rian Johnson with this Rey Nobody garbage, couldn't do that. You can't be original with a franchise, okay? Guess what? Originality and the whole unpredictability thing ended with no. I am your father, you stupid asshole. And just stop it with the feminazi shit. Look, here's the deal about Star Wars. I loved it when I was a kid. I was 9 years old. My friends loved it. There were girls that loved it. There were girls that didn't. There were girls that didn't get it. But there were girls that did. How about you just make a good Star Wars movie and then hope that our daughters would like it as much as we did? No, instead, you had to, de-ball Han and Luke. You had to turn Leia into I don't know what the fuck she is supposed to be now. Ruin her. Ruin the family that was supposed to be there because what? You Hollywood jackasses can't handle raising children together and making commitments. Keep that to yourselves. Don't project that into our lives. All right? This is just, it boggles the mind. All right? What you people think Star Wars is about. And what really pisses me off, Kathleen Kennedy, is you worked for Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. You know how to make a movie that people will go to. And you're such a feminazi. You're such an insecure baby that you had to fuck everything up because you can't handle being around men. And that's what it's about. So you hire a woman, I think is a lesbian, to write these shitty novels that my dog could actually tell a better story. And I know my horse could. You hire these young, unformed directors so they will kiss your ass and do whatever you want. And the moment they say, hey, I don't like the direction this is going. I want to do this. You fire them because you can't handle creative difference and you can't collaborate. All right? Stop being a female CEO and start being a CEO, you stupid bitch. And Claudia Gray, you just need to be fired. Ryan Johnson, you don't need a 3 trilogy thing. You just need to go and make your $5 million independent movies that nobody fucking sees. So you can pat your overly inflated ego and think you're relevant. Okay, that's what you need to do. You don't need to be Star Wars director. Here's what they should have done. They should have hired somebody like Christopher Nolan to do all 3. Or somebody like Ridley Scott. Now, Ridley Scott says he's too dangerous to do these because he'd want to do his own movies. He also probably would respect George Lucas and do the right thing. All right? Hey, that's an awesome idea. And there's no way they'd ever hired Steven Spielberg, because Spielberg is really good friends, best friends with George Lucas, and he would honor the saga, okay? Steven Spielberg knows how to make a movie without shoving an agenda down people's throats, all right? And there are women out there that know how to do this. Catherine Bigelow and that woman whose name I forget who did Wonder Woman, she did an excellent job, all right? But Kathleen Kennedy just can't help it. So she hires people who only do her bidding. And this is why Star Wars is where it's at. And this is why I'm calling her out. And these 3 people, Claudia Gray, I've seen C-Spot run books that are better written than anything you've ever done. Ryan Johnson, you are an arrogant, self-absorbed dickhead. When you're sitting there on Twitter telling someone who obviously knows more about science and astrophysics than you that the reason why Leia could fly through space is because she's a motherfucking badass, and that's all you had, that is the only answer you had for him, is fucking ludicrous. You all need to go. Lucasfilm is in a bad way right now. It's in a really bad way. And when the Solo movie comes out and crashes and burns and craters to the molten hot lava and magma of the Earth center's core, we will all understand how bad Lucasfilm has really gotten. But I'm calling these 3 people out. Kathleen Kennedy, Claudia Gray, Amy Vincent. That's her real name. And this 5'5" douchebag, Ryan Johnson, and saying to all of them, go find something else to do. Star Wars is not for you, okay? If you can't swing with the big boys, if you can't handle alpha males, if you can't write a script that appeals to the Star Wars audience and its billions of people, then you don't need to be doing this anymore. When you sell out men and boys to uplift girls to the point where it's literally bullshit, when you emasculate the 2 big heroes from the original trilogy, you have lost your way. And you are also proving to me that you're not women, that you can't handle men, where my disrespect immediately starts. All right? So this is Steph, still really pissed off. Signing out. See you around the galaxy.